Go ahead and call the meeting to order. Start with a roll call. McKee here. Lanterman here. Friedrich
Here.
Varenkamp
Here.
Counselor Nichols is out of town, I believe, so it would be the four of us. And with that, we'll move on to the work session item, which is Economic Development Strategic Plan Visioning Workshop.
Thank you. Do you want to say a few words?
No, go ahead, Mary. We're glad you're here.
Thank you so much. My name is Mary Boudreau with Maxfield Research, and also from my office is Sanchita Ray. And we're here to do the visioning session for the Economic Development Strategy. We're very pleased to be here tonight. And on Zoom, unfortunately, Jim Prosser is here with us, could not attend in person. He contracted, unfortunately, you don't mind if I say it, he contracted COVID.
Oh,
but,
we're feeling better.
But he's on medication, he's getting better, but he didn't want to appear in person. So but he's here to listen and also to offer in some input. So just wanted to let you know that. And so why don't we just, so we have kind of two parts to this. I have a little bit of some slides that'll kind of take us through, and then we have our kind of visioning survey portion, which is done on Mentimeter, and so people can connect in with their mobile phones via the QR code, and then it's an interactive session. There'll be some questions, and it will appear, the answers will appear on the screen.
Mr. Mayor, just real quick.
Yes.
Mary, thank you very much. I want to recognize Corinne and Lindsay, excuse me, from the Planning Commission. Thank you guys for coming
Yes,
very much.
We'll actually quickly go around, I should say, and do some introductions. So if we can just have everybody just go around and quickly introduce themselves, say what role they play, and any other small piece of information that you want to volunteer for. So maybe Councilmember Varenkamp, we can start with you.
I'm Dean Varenkamp, council member for 3 years. Should be another 3 more, I think, and then I'm whatever, but I love this whole thing of our planning and stuff. I think it's something that we haven't been visionaries in the past and stuff, and this is huge. You're stepping us through this, so thank you very much.
Thank you.
Hi, my name is Michelle Friedrich. I am a new council member. I ran in 2024, so I started my term in 2025. And an interesting fact about me would maybe be that I'm also a city clerk.
Oh,
Mark Kleinerman, City Council. Tom McKee, Mayor.
Deb Johnson, I'm the city clerk.
Jay Tobin, I'm the city administrator. In interesting fact, USA beat Latvia 5-1 a little bit earlier today. So,
hey.
hockey.
I'm Nelisha Williams. I'm the assistant city administrator.
I'm Natalie Davis McEwen. I am the community development director.
Kevin Matson, Public Works Director, City Engineer.
I'm Matt Selmeyer, I'm the Finance Director. Matt G1, Matt G2 is right next to me here.
Matt Gottschalk, I'm the Director of Public Safety.
Your baby utilities superintendent. Seth Gilman, Community Development Systems.
Steve Hagelin, I'm an entry consultant to the city.
Bryn Drummond. I'm a citizen and volunteer on the planning commission.
And the chair.
Lindsay, chair.
And chair, okay.
And Lindsay Lid, a planning commission member as well.
Great, thank you so much. Really appreciate that. So what I want to do next, actually this is, so I just wanted to kind of give a visual location. And I know that all of you know this, but I just wanted to kind of set this up to understand, Corcoran's kind of geographic location and its situation in between, several relatively, some emerging cities, so Dayton, growing, Maple Grove, fairly fully developed, Plymouth, fairly fully developed, Greenfield, more rural. So Corcoran is in a kind of I think, a very unique position. So it's really kind of in the middle, as I see it, kind of really on a growth spurt. So not has that rural component, but not as rural, is starting to develop more in commercially and hugely in residential development. So but as we go through this visioning process, I think this kind of geographic location will also be very important as we develop the visioning strategy for the future. So key components of the plan, I just wanted to run through these quickly. So strategic priorities that are going to emerge from the analysis, and we want to also get buy-in from stakeholder groups and the city. So that is going to be important as we move through this process. I think that there's definitely going to be some, push and pull. There's going to be people who have different viewpoints, and we want to try and we'll want to include all those. I think what we want to do then is come up with some consensus about the plan at the end. So key findings from the fiscal impact analysis, and that is one component of this plan, and we feel it's a very important component. So we don't want to just give a plan that doesn't identify what the impacts of potential different scenarios are. That's very important. What are the impacts on city policies, land use? Those are also going to be important. Key resources needed to proceed with the implementation of the plan. And that's another big action. Once we have this plan, once we understand the underlying components, how are we going to move forward? And what are the key tools for implementation to include local community resources, staffing resources, organization assistance, public and private monetary funding for various goals and objectives. And my colleague, Jim Prosser, is going to be a critical component and consultant on a lot of the financial aspects. He has a significant background in public finance and also in community development. So this is where we get into the good stuff. So I'm going to pull up, I'm going to kind of get out of this just a little bit and pull up a Mentimeter survey. So you should be able to access this QR code on your phone.
I'm the slowest of everybody,
It's
so
okay.
my apologies.
No, we've got some time. I kind of went through the first part very fast, so that's good.
She just downloaded your bank account information.
I know she did. And she's laughing about it. There's nothing there.
I'll just watch the screen.
This is great. We've got 15 people. I love it. So I'll be honest, this is a little bit new for me too.
It's not getting anywhere, you're just doing a lot of thumbs up.
You're just doing a
See
lot
the
of
thumbs floating up there? There's only still 15. You see there goes the thumbs? You're doing a lot of thumbs up.
Every time I hit the thumbs up, it said another person
Well,
joined.
that was just kind of...
It was just coincidence.
Okay. So today we will explore Corcoran's future. Your input will guide our direction and priorities as we prepare a strategic plan for the city. So in one word, what should be Corcoran's future?
We get 3 choices or what?
Yes, you actually do get 3 choices. So you can pick 3 different words.
Oh, right there. Now you're done. So 3 different words we can throw out there.
Yes, you can throw out 3 different words. We did a test on this in the office, and it was so odd because both of my staff people picked the exact same words. So then they all just got really big on the screen. people are selecting that word. So any others do you think, or should we go on to the next slide? Oh, yeah, a few more coming in. So aspirational, intentionality, small town feel. This is really, it's very, very interesting. There's a lot of diverse, I think, ideas here. But they all, in a way, a lot of them connect both with Corcoran as it is now, and I think with what people are thinking about for the future. Stewardship, prosperity, resilience, thoughtful development. Yeah, and so I wanted to say too, so all of these will be collaborative, and so I'll be able to deliver these over to you too. So on to the next slide. Okay, distribute 100 points along these priorities for Corcoran's future. Everything okay? So financial sustainability is at the top. Retain and attract businesses. Think outside the box. And then expand community services. We'll go on to the next slide. To what extent do you agree that these are key challenges for Corcoran? Adapting to changing community needs, building a strong financial base, growing our business base. entirely an open-ended question. What bold ideas or changes should Corcoran consider for its future? So the sky's the limit. So we have some great ideas here. Establish a Corcoran zip code. Destination and identity-based commercial. Updating commercial mixed use and similar zoning districts to modernize and expand some uses that are low intensity. Solid tax rates and bring value to the community. Transportation improvements. Become a destination instead of a drive-through city. Leave the constraints of Met Council so we can build the city we desire. Prioritize our rural character. Very interesting. That's great. Event and entertainment businesses to see from Hennepin County.
Not the first time it's
Proposal good, all right.
Is John on?
Consider proactive
Good job,
measures
you
to
guys.
attract diverse uses in the city, more restaurants and businesses, so residents have options in town, and have its own schools. Yeah. Varied tax rates, actual home ownership by succession of city property taxes when home preservation, when own home preservation of agricultural. Okay. Well, we'll get there. What is one thing you hope Corcoran achieves in the next 5 years? Okay, so new city campus, we get our voice back, build a plan the city agrees with to keep our identity, get a new civic campus, commercial development, city campus, civic campus, local public safety training hub. Expand City Center Drive and the downtown core. Okay. Requirement.
At the old Napa building.
That's great.
Just a dilly bar, like sales place, nothing else.
Dilly Bar Shop, right there in the blue, yeah.
Pocket, sorry about that.
Acquirement.
Who said that?
Choir
Well, that's
Medina.
well, that's
That wouldn't be an orderly
admirable
annexation
gesture.
at all.
Annexation or by force?
You'd have to ask the person who put it. So I think either way.
Choir Medina.
Well, it looks like we definitely have a focus on getting a new center
Yes, we're in the works of that
in the next 5 years.
before then.
2.
Oh, before that, okay, before 5 years.
We just had a meeting today about it,
Oh, okay,
second
so
one,
it's,
second of 7.
okay, it's up higher on the priority list. Okay. Great. Okay, so that's the end of the survey questions. Thank you so much for that. Let's go back to this. So a little bit kind of a review of what you saw in the survey. So what ideas and thoughts were identified that you would not expect?
Acquire Medina.
Yeah, I'd be up there.
Who would have said that?
You just better hope Medina doesn't hear about that.
Bring it on, winner take all.
My parents live in Medina.
Not anymore.
Isn't that Medina? Isn't that how you say that?
Anybody else?
The zip code one was
A
new
little
to,
surprising.
well, just new to me, being
Okay.
new, I'm curious about that one.
All right.
And I had a conversation about that today. I'm paying Rogers city tax to buy my propane from Princeton because I'm associated with the Rogers zip code.
Wow,
Wow,
So
that's interesting.
check your
that does not seem
billing.
right.
I was told that's the way it is.
No, because you live.
I agree with
I
you.
know, I looked
I
at this
agree
video
with
a while
you.
ago.
I'm
It
just
is
telling y'all to check
unfortunately-
check your bills and see what other taxes you're paying.
Interesting.
What seemed to be similar or the same?
Oh, hold on, Lindsay had her hand up,
So
Mr.
I was
Mayor.
just gonna say, I thought, like, the financial aspect to
Okay.
everyone's answers seemed very prominent.
Okay.
And when we look at what we want to achieve, it's not correlated with, like, those can be not supportive of each other. And so that I found to be an interesting contrast.
So when you think about that, then what would you say, maybe how to be able to combine those or blend those so that somewhat dissimilar objectives kind of become more consistent?
I think it's a challenge, and I think our citizens, like, we gotta approach it.
Right, okay, that's great.
Part of that too, Mary, is making sure that we're proactively communicating. So for example, expenses in 2018 are not what expenses are in 2026, are not what expenses will be in 2036. And so strategic decisions, when you make those decisions, can make a huge difference in terms of costs. So we're bearing costs for decisions that were made in 2013 with insufficient space. That's causing financial pressure now. And so trying to, strike that balance, like, okay, how do you prioritize? And that's why we're having 7 listening sessions, because we're wanting to hear what the priority of services are in terms of how we deliver them in the community for a long-term plan. And to a point, Councilmember Varenkamp did bring that up. We heard that today too, how important this is regarding commercial and industrial development to reduce pressure on the residential tax base.
Yeah.
And so that's why this is such a critical conversation, because if we are not able to attract those developers to come in here and to invest in Corcoran, we're going to continue to have increased pressure on, we need this bad.
Right, right, okay, well, and that's, Jim, you heard that.
In 5 years, less than 5 years.
Right.
We need it yesterday.
And
Yeah.
that's probably, and I would say that's a large share of why we're doing this and why we're doing it.
Yes.
So I think you maybe answered the next question, what are you hoping to receive from the ED strategic plan? But if there's other comments about that, you know, I'd be happy to have people chime in about that. Or if you need to think about that, you know, we're always available, and as we go along, you know, we'd be happy to hear more about that too.
Appreciate it.
As I've seen one of these before, one of the questions that I had that would help the council is, what are key decisions on the horizon?
Yeah,
And when to anticipate those key decisions?
okay,
And then for staff, what do we need to do to provide the timely data for those key decisions? You know, so when it comes time to make this big decision,
right,
how do we make sure that the community's informed, staff's done their due diligence, so that the council has everything they need to make that decision at the time?
okay, that's very good. Very good.
A playbook.
Yes, a guidebook, a playbook, yes. Thank you. Thank you for that.
Well, and yeah, I've expressed my frustration so many times that I'm getting tired of listening to myself, but anything we do today, we aren't gonna reap any benefit for 2 years related to taxes and stuff. So how do we get through the next 2 years if all of the things we wish for happen today? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
We see no tax benefits. I know I've complained more times than what people wanna hear, but why is it you can buy a home today but not pay property taxes for 2 years? And people tell me that's just the way the system.
So not just anybody, Councilmember Van Camp, I actually have the county assessor come in to brief
Come in,
us on the 26th. So I tried to ask that, so that he is the person that has to answer that question.
I'll be the first one asking.
To be fair, I have asked him that, and I haven't.
Then I'm
He's
gonna,
tried, he's a good guy, but.
whatever his answer is
I haven't gotten a good
unacceptable. We
answer
need the
from him.
benefit immediately. It cannot wait that long.
I will say, I agree with you and share that frustration, but also the one benefit we do have is that we have a pretty strong pipeline of growth built in that we know is already approved.
There's
and
stuff
being
that's
built.
coming.
So a lot of cities are in this position where they had some growth and there's a 2-year gap and they have to serve it before they get any of that money. And then there's not that consistent growth that's continuing to fill in some of it.
I understand all of
Yeah.
that. I just
More
want
for the
it
public.
sooner.
Yep.
It just seemed wrong, and we have so many things wrong with our government related to speed and agility and stuff that is just so frustrating. Thank you for
No,
letting me
but
vent.
that's good to know. I mean, that's very good to know. Thank you for that. I appreciate it. Yes.
May I ask a question?
Sure.
Oh, in regards to what you're hoping to receive from the ED strategic plan, I'm wondering, how does it take into account, that what this city is wanting for its growth is not happening in a vacuum? So it's happening in the context of a larger, world. And there's a lot of economic, implications. And so I'm wondering, this looks solely at this city, but how does it relate to that greater context?
Well, that's a very good question, and I'm glad you asked it. So while the plan is to be focused on Corcoran, it really, as I kind of mentioned before with the geographic location, it's intended to really place Corcoran, understand where Corcoran is now, but understand its location within the larger market that it exists in, considering its individual trajectory, but also considering the larger trajectory of growth that's occurring around it. So it's both some of its own constraints, what are the potential positives, what can we get from the market, and how should we view the market, And then how can Corcoran respond to that vis-a-vis growth strategy? So yes, we are taking that into account. We're definitely not looking at Corcoran as a bad. But that's a very good question.
Mayor, can I ask one more question?
Sure.
With so much of maybe Corcoran rural and such, the folks on the west side don't want any development. What do? I'm experiencing it for the second time in a lifetime because I lived on the west side of Maple Grove, and Maple Grove wasn't there when I moved there initially. So then I moved to the next city over to the west side. Before it gets to me, I hope I'm gone before it gets to me now. But how do we talk to those residents? Why are our taxes growing when it's the eastern side that has caused this stress on our finances and this? That's what they're saying. I know a lot of the answers and stuff, but we need to be able to get that information to them.
Correct, and we need to, and that's part of this plan as well. That we
Thank you.
intend to address, yes. But we also want to be able to, well, I can just go on.
And one more thing to that, in Maple Grove, the city was able to keep taxes relatively flat for the people that had been there for some time. And obviously, the development and everything happened on the east side and moved to the west. That paid for a lot of that, and taxes stayed relatively flat. And now they're big enough that it's a whole other conversation. But I've been through it. I mean, when I moved to Maple Grove, there was 27,000 people. When I moved down to Maple Grove, it was 58,000 people 20 years later. So I've seen a lot. So,
Significant.
yeah.
Well, and even in the past, I would say even in the past 5 years, I mean, Corcoran has added a lot of households.
Yeah, there's been a few.
In comparison.
Yep.
I mean, as a proportional part of growth.
Yep.
So it's not that growth is not happening. It is. I think, again, we have to really strongly consider, that growth in kind of its current context, and then that sustainability and management
Yeah.
of that growth moving forward.
And Corcoran J, you may or may not know the numbers. I don't know if anybody else does. 20 years ago, we were 3,300 population.
20 years ago? So when I was just looking at this.
We were
in-
3385
Yeah.
when I started working here.
How many
Go
years
ahead.
ago?
When I started working here in 2015, we were at like 3,385.
And now we're
I think.
86 something or more.
Yeah,
More
so
than
based on permits, that's what we used, we estimate right now we're a little over 9,700.
Yeah, that's significant.
So we'll be shortly as they close out.
Yeah, it's rapid growth.
Could I ask, go ahead.
Oh, no, you go ahead.
Michelle, then Natalie.
Okay, so like in terms of thinking of like the financial aspect of it and like thinking 15 to 20 years down the road, when we start thinking about our comp plan and strategic planning, should we be looking at adding more commercial retail space to what we currently have existing in Corcoran so we don't short ourselves in like all of a sudden having all the housing, which doesn't support our tax base as much as commercial would, or light industrial?
So I would say the answer to that is definitely yes. We're here to try and help with that.
You're going to help
Yeah.
us figure that out.
Yes.
I love it.
That's exactly why we're phasing this now, as we're starting the comp plan later, so we've got that information to inform some of those guiding decisions.
Like percentages, like what percentage would we be looking at, and how do you even
And
look at?
where.
Right.
So those are important questions that we are going to address.
Appreciate it very much.
Natalie, did you have some?
I was just going to say in terms of another end result, and it kind of just came to me now, so we haven't talked about this before, but some kind of like scenario planning. Because there is just a lot of uncertainty right now, so it's like if all of a sudden the growth were to come to a little bit more of a crawl, like what strategies would make more sense in that scenario versus if things continue as is, or if things all of a sudden speed up. I'm just wondering if there might be some common strategies that come out of the different scenarios that makes a little more sense for us to focus on.
No, I think that's a very good point, and it's really important because, as I've looked at different communities and looked at their just growth over time, and I think we all know too that we've had different scenarios in the economy where, we've been speeding along and suddenly we've slowed way down and then we've kind of speeded up again and slowed way, I've probably, in my work career, I've probably lived through already like, probably 4 or 5 real estate cycles. So I think, what you're saying is really important. And I am very sensitive to that idea of scenarios and how do we manage different scenarios based on what we might experience over time. It is one thing, sometimes I think we do have a tendency to say, oh, growth was this, so it'll just continue. But we know that's not the case. We've had that experience a number of times. So it's how do you plan? I would say it's not only how you plan for the growth, but how do you plan for those times, just as you said, when growth is slowing. When we have to figure out then how we're going to move through kind of a more moderate or even maybe growth is slowing way down. And I appreciate that.
With that, Mary, a question with this too, does it take into consideration some of the, as we try to proactively communicate our concerns about current potential legislation that could become levers that really impact the city's ability to influence some of the things you're talking about.
Yeah.
So right now we have a certain limited scope on making these decisions about what goes where and how it goes, but there's definitely legislation that takes that authority away from the cities, and now the cities are being dictated on high-density housing and where we needed commercial to go.
I will add to that, I have briefly seen one draft version of that similar housing bill package all into one for this year, and I'm supposed to get the updated version any day now, but it does seem like that is coming back with a vengeance this session, so something I'll continue to keep council and staff up to date on that, and we'll hopefully get it up on the website. I don't know how we find it.
So you're talking, Mr. Mayor, your comp plan is null and void, you're gonna listen to what is dictated down.
And we really get screwed in a scenario like that, because other cities have commercial and industrial base, and some of the choices that they're taking away in terms of where development can go. There's been so much intentional and careful planning, just the commercial industrial hasn't come, and now if you take that away.
From all cities in Minnesota, not just us.
Right.
Or for sure all metro, 7-county metro.
The Met Council.
It's not through the Met Council, although there's another thing that we should probably discuss at some point is Met Council's kind of changing philosophies on urban sprawl and wanting to stop that and making it much harder to make changes to comprehensive plans outside of the 10-year window, or the planning process for the 50 and 60, whatever, for changes and for expansion or changes to where the MUSA is, which directly affects us more than anyone, or about as much as anyone, because the MUSA runs straight through town. The only potential positive of that is, don't know if any or how many of the people that are on the Met Council dictating policy right now will be there in 11 months, because there's going to be a different governor regardless, and they appoint all of those positions, so something to keep an eye on. But it is a concerning trend that I've seen as a member of the LUAC, that they're looking to make it more difficult for cities to make changes to their comp plans, MUSA changes, and adding all sorts of Orwellian sounding fees like land use inefficiency surcharges and stuff like that. So
Those are all very important comments, and I think it kind of somewhat goes back to what Natalie was indicating about how to develop scenarios rather than just kind of one growth scenario. How do we manage over time for different things that happen? Because as we know, nothing is static, always going to be changing. We have to be able to address that over time. So just a little bit about some of the things that we're moving along with. So demographic, economic, and market analysis, assessment of comparative development nodes and key priority development areas, fiscal strategy and fiscal impact analysis, and I need to get with staff so that we can consider a schedule for stakeholder and community engagement at strategic points. So, and that was really what I had for tonight.
Great, thank you.
I actually got done a little bit earlier than I thought.
That works.
Yeah, Jim, do you have some other comments that you want to make?
Can you hear me okay?
Yeah.
You can put the microphone.
Yeah,
Yeah.
if you want to put the microphone up too.
See if I can. Oh, here. I think I have to bring them up. Okay, Jim. Can you hear him?
Thanks.
Hang on just a minute. No, it's Stephanie.
Is the mic on, Dean?
That's what I'm checking.
Okay.
No, it's not.
It's a little busted.
Okay.
What if we take it to Councilmember Nichols' microphone?
That could work.
That could work too.
This is,
Bring it to Nichols.
beyond repair. Hang on. All right, now try.
All right, can you hear me now?
Yes.
Great. First, my apologies for not being present in person, but this has been very useful from my perspective. And one of the observations I would make based upon the questions and the comments that I've heard so far is, first of all, the context that you've helped establish includes the importance of intentionality and fiscal or financial sustainability. That's really key in the type of work that we're proceeding with right now. One of the challenges we've seen with other communities that we've worked with, not just in Minnesota but across the country, is that a lot of communities in your position with a lot of fast growth have
Jim?
experienced.
Jim, can you speak up just a little bit more, because we're having a little difficulty
All right.
hearing you? Thank you.
Let me try to make adjustments
Can you
here.
turn up the volume on the laptop maybe?
Yeah, that's what I'm working on. Is that better? Is that better?
We're getting there.
Yep, we're getting that.
All right.
Yeah,
that's good.
Now we're
much
good.
better. That's much better.
Okay. So I was indicating that the observations in question that you've made so far are really important, because one of the things that we see, not just in Minnesota, but really across the country and other areas that we've worked, is a lot of communities in the position that Corcoran's in see growth, and really they tend to want to live off of their building permit fees and that growth. And residential is always an important feeder. But the problem that these communities experience is that once that growth tops out, they find that the cost of services exceed the revenue that they're able to provide. And so it's really important to be intentional about your growth, not just from a financial stability standpoint, but also because you need it for job opportunities. You need it to be able to develop the amenities that you're talking about. You need to look at all of those issues. So it's important to continue with that focus. The other point that I wanted to make is that idea of looking at what are the options as time goes along is really important. As Mary indicated, the market's going to change over the course of time. You want to be ready and to be in a position to accept the market that's compatible with the growth that's occurring within the region, but also supports what type of community you and the residents want to live with. The other observation that I think is important, and you were getting at it in the last section, is to talk about the Met Council. The Met Council tends to focus a lot on the housing part, but they're not looking necessarily, and I'm not criticizing them, but they're not looking at financial stability for communities or financial sustainability. That's what you have to do. If you just follow the direction that appears to be coming from that council regarding housing, without looking at other aspects of the market, without looking at how do you build the economic base that feeds the taxes or revenues for the services in your community, you're gonna have some difficulty. So it's important to be intentional. You've already identified that. It's important to keep your eye on that financial sustainability. It's also important, getting to the last point I want to make is the residents, this is a lot about educating residents, and they're going to educate you, but you're going to learn from them what their expectations are, and they're going to learn from you what's the reality, because people like services, they like amenities in their community, but there's a cost of doing that. And being able to to be patient enough to develop the tax base that you need in order to build that economic base and that revenue base is very important. That's, again, thanks for the opportunity to participate virtually.
Thank you,
Feeling
Jim.
better.
Thank you.
Feel better, please.
Okay. And with that, if there's no other questions, I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
I'll make that motion.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
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 We're adjourned.